I think everyone should buckle up for this story that I'm about to tell you, this news story that I'm about to tell you, because redemption is not, he's not going to get it from me.
Whoa!
Okay, so any metalheads out there in the audience, we have to talk about Tim Lambesis, who has been the frontman for As They Lay Dying, which was a seminal band, metalcore band, really like set the stage for early 2000s to mid 2000s metalcore. They, up until recently, have still been a band, even with some infractions, shall we say, just to put it lightly. We'll go into this more because we'll catch everybody up on the history of Tim Lambesis, and he's in it again. So let's just start out with something a little bit more innocuous. The fact that his entire band has left him two or three times throughout the course of their career, yet always tried to come back together, always tried to show him forgiveness. And he just seems to keep messing it up. But he has something to say about the departure of his bandmates right before they go on tour and they're about to release another album. Well, it seems like they all left and cited their reasons: personal morals. And the following month, the longtime guitarist Phil Scrosso also quit. Now Tim is trying to say something about how was the breakdown of his marriage to his third wife. The reason why you've had three wives, we will get into. We will get into. But the breakdown of his marriage, yet again, this is what happens. Like, it's becoming a you problem. And if you can't see that by now, then you are beyond all hope, which I think the audience will find out exactly what I mean by that. So he's speaking to his fitness coach on a Justin Wenzel podcast and saying, I wasn't going to talk about it because I didn't want to let anybody know how deeply unhealthy things were, because they would tell me I have to leave the relationship. I wanted to find a way to fight and stay, so I just kept in it. This is classic codependency. This is also classic manipulation. It's almost like he's playing the victim when, look at this guy. He's playing the victim in his own relationship. You've been married three times, which obviously means somehow you can still get a chick, but you're the victim in all these relationships. You're actually like one of the stars, at least in the music scene, in the metalcore music scene. Like, girls are trying to get to you. I don't buy it for a second. And you know why you shouldn't buy it? You shouldn't buy it because Tim was sentenced to 6 years in prison in 2014 for hiring a hitman to kill his first wife, Megan, and also admitted he had a tendency to isolate himself when dealing with his issues. But let's look at that first part. That's why you shouldn't buy it. He's already spent 6 years in jails with his after what he tried to do and plotted to do to his first wife. He's had two more since, and he's about to lose that one officially. Now, this is his third wife, soon to be third ex wife. And she has come out. She's come out now. She's putting out statements because apparently he was trying to make her sign NDAs after they split, that once the divorce was finalized, she could never talk about him again. She could never bring him up because he's so daggum embarrassed about it all. But she says the abusive, cheating narcissist will try to destroy your life. And here's another thing that we have to go into, because this was only hours after footage of Tim Lambesis hitting his dog surfaced online. Now, this came from security footage, from a security camera in his own home, so it wasn't taken illegally or anything like that. But you can bet your bottom dollar who released that footage, because this is just one of those things. This is one of those things, especially knowing the kind of manipulation and you're trying to get out of a very unhealthy and hostile relationship. You have to keep everything recorded. You have to keep evidence. Otherwise, a lot of people just won't believe you. They'll think you were just another gold digger and you're making up stories. So good on her for doing this. Her name is Danny Ciara, and she released a statement outlining the abuse that she has experienced at his hands, which isn't too much of a shocker. Yeah, well, he might have given her a couple shockers, but the entire statement, which was posted on Instagram and is below, we will go into that. She's been intimidated, coerced, and other methods to keep her silent in an attempt to save his image. And apparently now, an attempt to save his marriage, because he just recently called her and she recorded the phone call and he just tried to outline every little way about why they should stay together. It's all about image, man. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, Tim, Your image cannot be saved whenever you keep getting caught doing things. People have tried to give you, maybe a little bit of common courtesy, a little bit of forgiveness. They've tried to give that to you. You spent 6 years in prison for a horrific mistake. The fact that you thought about doing it in the first place is bad enough. But the fact that you went through with it, got caught, and then had to pay the price, you came back, you still didn't change your ways. So this makes me think that we need to raise the question, is there such a thing as redemption for you? Or is it just dyed in the wool? You are a bad, evil human being. That's not for me to decide. That is for God above to decide. Now, she goes on to say that she didn't release the videos and asked that they stop. But I have a question about that. If she didn't release the videos, then who did? Who else has access to that feed in their home where they can see these kind of things, are monitoring it, and would put it out there? But she's no longer willing to stay silent over the shit she has experienced. So there is a big question there. I think that she actually did. Maybe she just like passed them on to someone else, so she didn't release them. But I think she gave the access to him because I don't think that's something that he would do unless he was in a drunken stupor. We also don't know because this dude is obviously batshit insane crazy. Now, I'm not going to show the video. I have seen it, and there are two instances when within a 30-second clip. So one time he kicks the dog like square in the rib cage because it got in his way, and the second time he was trying to get her to go outside. She was just laying on the couch, looked a little bit quivery, but he yells at it. He forcibly gets her off to let her outside, shakes his fist at it, giving that good old metal front man, I guess, which is something else that we could talk about in a whole other way. Now, just to go down into her statement, which we do have to talk about, I don't know if I will keep the entirety of it, but I have it up here on screen so you can read it for yourself if I choose to like gloss over some parts. She says, I will no longer stay silent out of fear of Tim. The lies being told by him in his last statement and in this recent podcast are deliberate attempts to cover up truth, play the victim using typical Darvo tactics. And that's what it is. That's playing the victim when you are the aggressor. That's what that means. There was never a domestic violence investigation against me, and that's her talking. So against her, nor was there ever a restraining order placed against me. But there was against him. And this is public information anyone can access online. Yes, that is true. The videos that Tim claims to have of me abusing him are when she fights back or tries to get away. Instances of self-defense and outbursts against his ongoing physical and mental abuse and repeated infidelity with hundreds of people. She says people and not chicks. I'm just scoring, I don't know. Obviously, I should be a little bit less biased, but who knows? Maybe he was cheating with dudes too. You never know because unstable people like this, they have tendencies, they kind of just do whatever feels right to them. And it seems to me that he has a domination fetish. Maybe not fetish is not the right word, but like he has to be the dominant form. And sometimes that means more aberrant behavior can happen, whether we agree with it, whether it's okay with you. It's not okay to force yourself on anybody. And so the statement that she released on October 24th defending him was drafted up by him and his new managers to protect his career and public image, which she has proof of. Now, he's continuously tried to intimidate, bribe, beg me to sign an NDA in our marriage, which I talked about. So here's this out of the girl's mouth, stating that she will never publicly talk about him as soon as it's finalized, but she wouldn't do it. She also has the recorded phone call, which I did talk about earlier. And she says that she refuses to let dishonesty overshadow the pain and trauma that I have endured any longer, not just to me, but to others close to this as well, including bandmates, including their family. This isn't just about her anymore. There is Tim's version of why his ex bandmates left. And then there's the truth. And yes, everyone else in the band is trying to be as cordial as possible, which like we have moral differences. We don't hit women. We don't do this kind of stuff. We don't cheat on our wives. We're just trying to be upstanding human beings and play a good metal show. One great show can change the world. And As I Like Dying used to do that back in the 2000s. They pioneered a whole style. I mean, them along with Killswitch Engage, like they were at the forefront of this type of scene. She ends it with, I am done being silent. Good for you, girl. Good for you. So, as this will obviously show up in court, I don't think so far no criminal charges have been processed. They haven't been filed or anything like that. So it's basically he's in the court of public opinion right now since all of this is out there for everyone to see. Obviously, divorces can, and in this case, are definitely going to be highly scrutinized, highly publicized, and highly volatile. So she's doing everything she can to protect herself because everyone in the world knows about what he tried to do with his first wife, and she is his third wife, and they're getting a divorce too. Things are not looking good. The relationship's on the rocks. It's way far past the rocks. It's in the depths of hell, and she is looking out for herself, which she should. I wish she would have reached out sooner, but hey, you never know. The manipulation, when people try to change your mind, when people try to brainwash you, and you just feel absolutely unsafe for so many reasons, you kind of fall into it, that codependency thing. Not saying that she's perfect. Obviously, nobody's perfect, but get out while you can, girl. Get out, show all the evidence, provide receipts, which is what seems like she's doing. And my bigger question should just go down to a moral thing for the audience and for yourself as a human being. You don't have to tell me, just think about this within your own being. Is there ever a time where someone is completely beyond redemption? For me, you're beyond redemption when you don't want it, when you don't change. You can say you try to change, but you never put effort into that. If you put effort into it, that slow tide can build up into a huge wave. And hopefully that's the way that things go. Some people are a lot more stubborn than others. Some people, they can just flip on a dime. It seems like Tim has not learned anything with 6 years of incarceration in federal prison. And he's still doing the same stuff. And it's flaring up. It's getting worse again. This dude needs help. He needs mental help, and he needs to be under watch at all times, in my opinion. And it seems like everyone that he calls himself close to feels the same way. But if you have anything else different to say about this, please leave it in the comment section below. Please, reach out. If you happen to know the guy, reach out. Tell him they're like, hey, man, how many times are you going to fuck up before you realize that you are the problem? What do you need? What needs to happen to you? This kind of reminds me of Johnny Craig from, started out with Dance Gavin Dance. Then went to Emarosa. Then went and did his own thing. And he just burned bridges everywhere he went. Extremely talented person, but kept burning bridges because he was the problem. He was the cancer. Is Tim Lambesis the cancer? The only way that we can get him the leukemia treatment that he needs, just as a person, just as an individual, as one of God's creatures, is for him to accept it and acknowledge it within himself. I don't think he's willing to listen. But that's just me. If you guys have anything to say, obviously, you know where you could find me. You know where you can find everyone. And you know how much the metal community stays together, just as good human beings that like to rock out and get into the circle pits. This is Multi from the GCA. And y'all have a great day. Take care of your women. Take care of your men. Just take care of other human beings. That's basically what this all boils down to. Bye, guys.